Hi, I'm with the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. Um, so last week I went to in-person court for a little bit again. That's kind of a every Wednesday thing. We go to court, and then after court, it ended early because the judge had to go to a doctor's appointment or something. A specialized investigator came in and asked if I wanted to go on a investigation with her, so I went on another specialized investigation case. So again, um, specialized investigations does child abuse under the age of 4. They do human trafficking and fatalities and near fatalities. So I think in last week's seminar I talked about a specialized investigation I went on that was abuse, and this one that I went on Wednesday was also for abuse under the age of 4. So the little boy had a bruise on his butt, and if you've taken any child abuse classes, you know that it's really hard to get a bruise on your butt because it's so cushioned. So if a kid has a bruise on their butt, they were probably hit pretty hard. Um, so he had like a linear. It looked like he was hit with something. So, for the specialized investigation, what the investigator wanted to do was get a timeline. So, the timeline kind of tells like who the kid was with at the time of the abuse or when it possibly happened. So, she knew what day the mom of the child reported it. So, we went to the house that was watching the kid first. So, we talked to two two ladies who had been watching the kid, and we got a timeline from them first, and it goes back like 72 hours, but we did that whole week pretty much. And then after we got their timeline, we went to the mom of the child's house and kind of saw if her timeline matched with the people who we think had the kid during the time of the abuse. Um, and it seemed to match up pretty well. So we kind of talked to the mom about what needed to be done and how she shouldn't let those other ladies watch her kid anymore. And then um, the investigation will go from there. I don't really know what's going to end up happening. Um, but that was interesting to see because I didn't realize I hadn't seen them needing to get a timeline yet. I didn't know that was a thing. So I learned that. That was new. Um, Something I was able to resolve or solve. Um, I don't. It's not necessarily solved yet, but in last week's seminar, the abuse case I talked about. I don't know if I talked about the specific one, but last week I went on a specialized investigation, and I might have. The kid had a slap mark across its face, where one of the parents had smacked the kid hard enough to leave a handprint on its face, on her face. Um, so last week we interviewed the daycare that made the report. We interviewed the victim's siblings. We interviewed the victim, and then I had to leave. I didn't get to see the full interview, but then after I left, she interviewed the mom, and then she also talked to the dad. So that all happened last week. And then today, we went to a forensic interview. So a forensic interview is with, they're more specialized in interviewing children. So a lot of times, especially for sexual abuse, we send the kids to a forensic interview. Um, if a kid discloses any kind of sexual abuse at all, you have to stop the interview and set up an appointment for a forensic interview because we're not allowed to interview kids about that. But this case didn't have anything to do with sexual abuse. That was just a bit of information. So these kids did the forensic interview, and since their stories all sort of matched up, we now know who the perp was, and now we know like what needs to be done. So they're gonna file a petition. It's gonna go to court. The dad can't live at home with the kids right now until everything gets situated. So that was at least figured out, and the kids are hopefully now safer. So it was kind of cool to get to see that whole process, because usually I do an interview and then I don't see the case the rest of the time because it happens when I'm not there usually. So it was cool to see, be there for the beginning of the case and now for this part of the case. I have not completed my midterm evaluation. I emailed my field liaison about it, and I haven't heard back from her, so I'm not really sure what to do about that. I guess I'll email her again. My takeaways from the reading. One of the readings talked a lot about self-care, and I think in social work, self-care is crucial. So I think it's really good that that was added into the NASA Code of Ethics. Social work, especially in certain fields like CPS, the field I'm in, it's really easy to get overwhelmed or to bring work home with you and then get anxious or depressed, or it's just really easy to start feeling really negatively. And it's also easy to get burned out on the job. But I feel if social workers are practicing self-care, that they're less likely to feel these negative emotions and get burned out. So, like for me, something I do for self-care is I go to the gym. Usually I wake up early before work and go, and it helps me clear my mind and just kind of relax. So I think that's really important for all social workers to have some sort of self-care plan set in place. And I think it's also important for an agency to, I guess, teach or educate their workers on self-care, because I don't think some people probably don't focus on it as much and don't see the importance. So if the agency is educating their workers on it, then it'll raise awareness and maybe get more workers involved in self-care. For my capstone project, I got these little pamphlet things because I'm doing my project on safe sleep. So a lot of times there are a lot of deaths or injuries due to parents sleeping with their child in their bed, which, not to say sleeping with your child is a bad thing, but you just have to be careful, and you have to know, like, you have to be able to keep the baby safe if you're going to do that, and you have to know how to do that. So they have an acronym, ABCD. So it's A is for alone. It says stay close, sleep apart. So if you're going to sleep with your baby, make sure the baby's not like right next to you, because like my field instructor said, some people are really heavy sleepers. So I know I am. So some parents roll over in the middle of the night and they roll on top of their baby, and then the baby ends up dying from it. So staying apart could help. B is on my back for night and naps. So sleeping on the back. C is in a clean, clear crib. A lot of times, parents put stuff in the baby's cribs, like maybe extra blankets or toys, and this could, like a blanket, could lead to the baby could get wrapped up in the blanket and then end up suffocating itself. So making sure that there's nothing in the crib that could potentially harm the baby. And then D, drinking and drug use impair your ability to care for a baby, making bed sharing and other unsafe sleep even more dangerous for the baby. I think D is what I want to focus on the most, because from what I'm noticing in bullet counting, majority of our cases have to do with substance abuse. So I think tying substance abuse into this safe sleep is really important and can be really helpful. But um, I plan on doing a lot more research for my project here soon. But I thought this was a really useful thing that they had given me at my agency. So that's it.